like a Hellcat.
Falling Water, or the Kaufman Residence, is one of the most famous private homes designed by architect Frank Lloyd Wright. Built in 1935, the house was designed to protrude over a waterfall on Bear Run in Stewart Township, Pennsylvania. Completed at a total cost of $155,000, including $4,500 for the home's all-walnut furnishings alone, Falling Water instantly became an icon of American architecture. Hailed by Time magazine as Wright's most beautiful job, it is listed among Smithsonian's Life list of 28 places to visit before you die. Edgar J. Kaufman Sr., a department store magnate, and his wife Lillian commissioned Wright to design a weekend retreat on the family's land near the former Bear Run community southeast of Pittsburgh. Kaufman had been introduced to Wright by his son Edgar in 1934, when the latter participated in Wright's Taliesin Fellowship, a training program for architects and artists. Wright was 67 at the time of the meeting, with few commissions in the midst of the Great Depression. Luckily, Kaufman was relatively unaffected by the Depression, and he was able to commission this universally beloved building. Lloyd's Building is the headquarters of the famous Lloyd's of London Insurance Institution. It has a unique design that stands out significantly against the backdrop of the other buildings at 1 Lime Street in the City of London. Lloyd's Building was originally designed by Richard Rogers, an architect that had worked on numerous projects throughout the world. Rogers was one of 2 architects that designed the famed Pompidou Center in Paris, France. Rogers began his design in the mid-1970s and completed construction in 1986. Most notably, the building has most of its elevators and escalators in the open air. There are a total of 12 glass elevators attached to the outside of the building. The building is 289 feet tall and has a total of 14 floors. It cost roughly £75 million to complete the project and was contracted by Bovis Property Development. Many consider the bizarre industrial architecture to be the most remarkable in the world. The building also contributed to the scenery in many movies, including Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, Mamma Mia, and Trainspotting. This series of suspended monasteries usually elicits a gasp from visitors. Perched at death-defying heights, the structures were first built in 491 AD and have survived for many centuries since then. Clinging to a crag of the Hengshan Mountain, in apparent defiance of gravity, the temple consists of 40 rooms linked by a dizzying maze of passageways. Interestingly, the temple is dedicated to not just one religion, but 3, with Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism all practiced within the temple, and represented in 78 statues and carvings throughout the temple. How could a building like this withstand the winds and storms of so many years? Hanging Monastery is an architectural wonder. A unique mechanical theory was applied to building the framework. Cross beams were half inserted into the rock at the foundation, while the rock and back became its support. Why build a monastery like this? Location is the first reason. Building a monastery on the cliff could shield it from floods. In addition, the mountain peak protects it from rain and snow, and the mountain around it also diminishes damage from long-time sunshine. The second reason is that the builders followed a principle in Taoism: no noise, including those from rooster crowing and dog baying, so from the upper ground all noises drop away. Paro Taksong, also known as the Tiger's Nest Monastery, is a small religious complex hung far up on a cliff overlooking a spectacular valley. It is one of only a handful of locations where the second incarnation of Buddha is believed to have practiced. The monastery itself is located in a dramatic setting, perched on a high cliff some 3,000 feet above Paro Valley, and a vertiginous 10,240 feet above the sea level. The route to the top is difficult. It takes a 2 to 3 hour trek to reach the cave, walking amidst the beautiful shady pine forests. The Paro Taksong Monastery consists of 4 main temples which are interconnected with staircases carved on the rock. The interior of the Taksong Monastery reflects the luxury and wealth in the finest way. While the dome of the monastery is gold-plated and decorated with illuminating golden idols, the inside of Paro Taksong consists of a hall with thousands of Buddhas carved on a rock. Along with this, a large statue of a tiger fills up the space, signifying the famous legend of Guru Rinpoche and the tigress. Often referred to as the 8th wonder of the world, the Hagia Sophia in Sultanahmet is easily one of Istanbul's most impressive sights. Now functioning as a museum, the site also has one of the most tumultuous histories of any building in the world. Built in 537 AD at the beginning of the Middle Ages, it was famous in particular for its massive dome. It was the world's largest building and an engineering marvel of its time. It is considered the epitome of Byzantine architecture, and is said to have changed the history of architecture. From the date of its construction in 537 until 1453, it served as an Eastern Orthodox cathedral and the seat of the Ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople. Then, due to a power struggle in the church, it was converted into a Roman Catholic church. After the Crusades, Constantinople fell to the attacking Ottoman forces on the 29th of May in 1453. In accordance with the traditional custom at the time, Sultan Mehmet II allowed his troops and his entourage 3 full days of unbridled pillage and looting in the city shortly after it was captured. In this process, the Hagia Sophia was looted and eventually converted into a mosque. It existed in this form until 1935, when the first Turkish president and founder of the Republic of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, transformed the building into a museum. It now stands as one of the greatest examples of Ottoman architecture, though it still contains beautiful mosaics from its period as a church. Antoni Gaudi is one of the most iconic architects in history. His modernista movement is characterized by the predominance of the curve over the straight line, by rich decoration and detail, the taste for asymmetry, a refined aestheticism and dynamic shapes. His most famous work, La Sagrada Familia, stands 560 feet tall in the heart of Barcelona. Gaudi worked steadily on his masterpiece until his death in 1926, at which point an estimated 15 to 25% of the total design, including the crypt, the apsid walls, a portal, and a tower, was complete. Since then, a series of architects have attempted to continue his legacy. Not surprisingly, progress on Sagrada Familia's construction has faced a few setbacks over the past 130 years. Vandalism in 1936 following the outbreak of the Spanish Civil War resulted in the destruction of many of Gaudi's models. The sacristy was destroyed in a fire in 2011. Though construction is set to finish in 2026, many already consider the Sagrada Familia to be one of the most classic buildings of all time.
Like a Hellcat.